Tim Pool again, who's super fucking mad, guys. Like, bro, how is Ukraine even bro, right? And we saw this Russia issues World War III warning the U.S. article when I was talking to Phil on Saturday, I believe. Was it? Or was it Wednesday? Anyways, we talked about it. And not surprising, they do this all the time. And I've said for a long time that Russia uses mutual assured destruction as a fear umbrella under which they can attack anybody they want. So here's this is Russia warns World War III coming as Ukraine invades Russia. Brics convenes 126 nations to drop U.S. dollar. So apparently Tim Pool is seeing some sort of bleed of viewers to Jimmy Dore, and he's trying to make up for the lost revenue by stealing those people back by doing the same kind of shit Jimmy talks about, but like slamming it into one video, I guess. I don't know if we'll cover the whole thing of this video, but for fuck's sake, it was worth a good laugh last time.
Story from Newsweek. Russia issues a warning. World War III. A World War III warning to the U.S. You know why they're doing it?
Because that's what they always do.
How about this? Ukraine says it struck at 2 oil depots inside Russia.
Russia blew up schools and sent rape squads into Ukraine.
So using Western weapons, Western training, Western resources, Western intelligence.
No. Actually, the drones they make themselves. They struck these places with drones. The oil fields weren't hit with missiles.
And Western volunteers, they call them volunteers. That means U.S. boots on the ground.
No, it doesn't. And also, which volunteers you do realize that a good portion of this is happening because of Russians inside Russia doing this too. Are they magically U.S. citizens now?
There has been an invasion of Russia.
What? When did that happen? No way!
Russia has threatened to use nuclear weapons if facing an existential threat.
And so being invaded by a non-nuclear country isn't an existential threat? It's just kind of a nuisance? Or what's the existential part? That, like, if they're filled with ennui?
But perhaps they need not blow us up. From Watcher.guru.
From Watcher.guru. A Bitcoin Ethereum site. What are the, wait, before we move on, what are the other stories? AI sets Shiba Inu, which is one of the cryptocurrency, weekend price. Ripple XRP predicted to hit $7. Here's when. Gold price trades safe about 2,500 as U.S. dollar risk looms. Cardano, change fork schedule for September 1st. Will ADA peak then? I don't know. It's possible. Okay, it's a 2-minute read, though, so you know this is deep. Brics, 2-minute read. That's my favorite. When you see a news story that's supposed to be full of a lot of information, and they're like, 2-minute read. Okay, so we're just talking broad strokes.
Brics. 126 nations meet with alliance to discuss ditching the U.S. dollar.
Okay, have fun with that.
My friends, the deep state will not allow that to happen.
Okay, well then I guess yay deep state. Hurrah! The deep state's on our side now. Wait a minute, I am the deep state.
Liberal economic order will not allow that to happen.
Okay, since you live under the liberal economic order and that's how you make your living, presumably, that's a good thing?
So perhaps Russia will say, we don't need nukes. We're getting off the petrodollar and you are done.
Hey, asshole, they're already off the petrodollar. They're not even allowed to trade in our system anymore. Boom. I like to look at his face, though, like, Russia's going to come up and go, you like apples? You go, yeah. And you go, how you like them apples? Right? I feel like, guys, I feel like Tim is very disappointed in all of us.
And what do you think the response from the United States is going to be?
Have fun in your senior year.
It's going to be war.
We're gonna bomb the countries that don't use our dollar into using our dollar? Are we gonna? Oh, we're gonna bomb them with dollars. Brilliant.
Our only hope,
Is that Russia blows up Ukraine with a nuclear weapon?
in my opinion, is a Donald Trump victory.
And why would that be? You mean the guy? Sorry, you mean the guy who wants a negative interest rate in the United States, meaning that it costs more to print money than to borrow it? That you think that's the economic win-win that'll work? Getting the dollar down below the cost of a dollar, well below, so he can refinance all of his loans, and so can you.
Trump wins, secures the United States, protects it.
What does that mean? How does he secure and protect the United States? What does that mean? What do you mean secures and protected? I think we're pretty secure right now, pretty protected. And I thought he built up. Didn't he refill the cupboards? They were bare, and then he rebuilt the military. It's rebuilt. I mean, it's in the process of being even more built, right? Aren't they building ships in Wisconsin right now?
And then pushes for security in this country.
After you secure the country, then you push for security in the country. Totally. Absolutely. You know, some people will think you're going, Hal, Tim isn't making any sense. This is weird kind of emotional gibberish. And you're right, but wrong at the same time. It makes sense, and it's if you speak imbecile.
And lets these other countries trade as they see fit. It could lead to global conflict and competition.
Huh? Sorry. So we're the key to a strong dollar is an isolationist economic theory around securing the nation and letting Brics happen. You know, the deep state's never going to let Brics do their thing, but Donald Trump will. Does anybody know what the fuck he's talking about these days? I'm dead serious. I don't know where he is. Wherever Tim Pool is broadcasting from, I'm going to guess there's 20% less oxygen than wherever his normal studio is. Because this is some of the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
But it'll avoid nuclear annihilation.
But it will be financial annihilation. So starvation and death over time as opposed to glowing in the dark. Also, what happens if they launch... Hold on. They're going to nuclear annihilate us, and you're worried about how the dollar's going to do? And you also think we're not going to respond if they do?
First, from Newsweek.
Uh-huh.
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov issued a World War III warning to the U.S.
Yeah, it's not the first time.
Saying the West was asking for trouble by even considering Ukrainian requests to use supplied weapons to conduct strikes deep within Russian territory.
Oh, so now they're the thought police? Is that how it works, Tim? So even if we consider it, now we get the death penalty? So Tim Pool is on the side of killing people for thought crimes now? Yeah, you're siding with the thought crime police? Nice one, Beanie Boy.
Discussions about using Western-supplied missiles to strike Russia are tantamount to playing with fire, Lavrov told reporters in Moscow on Tuesday.
And threatening to nuke cities full of innocent people isn't?
The U.S., despite requests from Ukraine, has remained steadfast on its position that its long-range weapons may only be used on Ukrainian soil or to defend the country from Russia cross-border attacks.
This is the first time Tim is reading that sentence, and it goes against the narrative he set up earlier. But don't worry, that won't stop him.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has repeatedly asked Western allies to approve the use of their weapons to strike targets inside Russia, insisting that doing so could turn the tide of war. Lavrov warned that the West against entertaining Kiev's request.
Yeah, we should not be entertaining when we hear their request. We shouldn't tap dance or sing, and no yodeling.
Quote, we have long been hearing these speculations about allowing the use of not only Storm Shadow, but also American long-range missiles, by the way. Some anonymous source in Washington said that such work is being done.
Some anonymous source in Washington. You mean Trump? Who? Corey Lewandowski? Let me guess. That Trump's Steve Bannon's lawyer. That's the source that's talking to Sergei Lavrov.
Ukraine's request is being viewed in a generally positive light. I'd like to add they've already used U.S. weapons to strike Russian territory.
Like what?
This is blackmail. This is an attempt to pretend that the West wants to avoid excessive escalation. But in reality, this is deceit. The West does not want to avoid escalation. The West is asking for it. And it seems to me that this is already obvious to everyone. We are not.
By the way, I'm starting to enjoy Tim Pool's like being upset. It's one of the small pleasures in this news cycle. I do feel bad sometimes because he's so exceedingly stupid about these issues that it seems like a biological mental failing. So I feel bad, laughing at something like that, as anybody would. But he's morally and ethically stupid as well. So it's hard to kind of separate them.
Now confirming once again that playing with fire, that playing with fire, and they are like small children playing with matches, is a very dangerous thing for grown-up uncles and aunts who are entrusted with nuclear weapons in one or another Western country.
Yeah, I'm sure that translates a lot better. It makes more sense in Russian.
He added, Americans unequivocally associate conversations about the Third World War as something that, God forbid, if happens, will affect Europe exclusively. Pentagon Press Secretary Major General Patrick Ryder told reporters during a press conference, during a news.
By the way, no, just all right, let's say Russia nukes Europe. That doesn't mean it affects Europe only. Of course it'll. That's why we're in the NATO alliance, dumb fuck. Trump wants you to think it only affects Europe. Trump's the one who's like, if they get hit, it's not our ass. We have an ocean between us. Screw them. It's the same thing like, I don't know, that's the Jews in Poland's problem.
Conference on Tuesday that Washington's policies on Ukraine's use of American-supplied missiles has not changed.
Right. This is, again, undermining all of Tim's argument.
You've heard us say the Ukrainians can use U.S. security assistance to defend themselves from cross-border attacks. In other words, counterfire. But as it relates to long-range strikes, deep strikes into Russia, our policy has not changed. We're not seeking conflict with Russia. We are simply supporting a democratic nation who was invaded 2.5 years ago and enabling them to protect themselves. I'm going to go ahead and say lies, but anyway.
What's the lie part? I'm going to go ahead and say lies just because I get, if I don't say it, I get a little bit of pushback from the Ruska super chats. They stopped coming in. I'm going to go ahead and say lie. What was the lie part? That they weren't invaded 2.5 years ago? What are you talking about? Like, even if you believe it was provoked, that doesn't change the fact that they were attacked. And you could, if you provoke someone, if they shoot you, they're still the guilty party. There was no reasonable expectation of violence on the Russian side ever.
Look at what's happening to Ukraine. They're surging into Russia. You're going to have World War III. This is Donald Trump speaking Tuesday about the invasion in Detroit.
By the way, we're going to have World War III. Excuse me. We are on the precipice, on the brink, and basically in the middle of World War III already as of, I don't know, pick a month over the last year and a half, according to him, according to Donald Trump. He said one of those things or all of those things every week since.
Responding to Trump's remarks, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said many Western countries are already up to their ears in this conflict. To put it simply, they are directly involved in this conflict. Such forays like the one in Kursk Oblast are, of course, acts that escalate tension to the limit.
Limit of what? Sorry, there's no limit to Russia's invasion?
Therefore, there is cause for concern. And
I am concerned. Are you guys concerned? I'm concerned. And Tim's concerned. And he's concerned that you're not concerned enough. And you need to be concerned, okay? So start being concerned. Because if you're not concerned, then you're not watching. And if you're not watching, he's not making beanie money.
In this case, one can treat such alarmist statement with understanding. There are no winners.
No, there are no winners, especially if Ukraine wins.
In nuclear war.
Thank you, Joshua.
Only survivors. Ukraine says it struck at 2 oil depots inside Russia. Why are we tolerating this?
What? Who? Who's we, asshole? He's getting mad again. Who's we, asshole? What do you mean? It's oil. I mean, this is how they fund their war effort. Why are you tolerating rape squads that are paid for by oil? What do you mean? I mean, again, I don't know why he's this upset about this, except like because I don't believe he genuinely thinks this is going to be the beginning of World War III. I don't believe it.
Democrat voters who are supporting this are either abject, malicious evil or the banality of evil.
Can I just be a dick? Honest to God, Tim, whether it's banal evil or just kind of like beige evil, I really like you're convincing me to vote Democratic just because I know it irritates you at this point.
I will say it again.
Well, you're nothing if not repetitive.
Ukraine has invaded Russia.
When? What led up to that?
They've evacuated 130,000 civilians. They are bombing oil depots.
Okay. What happened before that? That it's literally like a rapist going, this woman scratched my face. She gouged my eyes. Right? She dragged her keys across my chest. Like, that's the argument here. How dare she? How dare she fight and get my DNA under her fingernails so that I can be identified later? That's the argument here. I mean, like I said, I do enjoy watching him get pissy and angry. I don't know why. It's so fucking dark. It's odd. It didn't seem like over the top. Like there's a personal threat somewhere there. And I don't mean the general, like, geopolitical, we're all gonna die. Because, I'm sure there were, like, alarmists like this asshole during the Cold War. But I mean, Tim's young. He wasn't alive during that.
I do not like Russia. I do not like Ukraine.
It sounds like you like Russia. It sounds like you hate Ukraine. Hold on. There's not this isn't fucking green eggs and ham, asshole. This is you said Ukraine is like the biggest evil on the planet or whatever the fucking last episode we covered this dickhead. And poor Russia. And they're going to kill us all. And that would be right to.
Let them have their war. I don't care. Russia should not have invaded Ukraine. The U.S. should not have tried to interfere in Ukraine and tried to induct them into NATO.
We didn't try to induct them into NATO. You don't induct anyone into NATO. They have to request. It's a volunteer organization. CSTO isn't, though. The Russian version of NATO, that has not been voluntary. As a matter of fact, most of the countries that have joined is because Russia has either invaded or threatened them and then forced them to join, which is what you think NATO does. Huh? Wait, when does this motherfucker think Ukraine got the go-ahead to be in NATO and that's what triggered it? When the fuck does he think this happened?
There is no innocence here, only escalation.
Okay, so the country, the people of Ukraine that were murdered, raped, buried in shallow graves, had their homes rigged with explosives in case anybody returned and all that kind of stuff. Those people are not innocent because you think there was a conversation about Ukraine joining NATO at some point that caused an acute need for Russia to attack. Also, you do realize Finland has a bigger border with Russia than Ukraine does, and they're in NATO, and Russia didn't invade fucking Finland.
And the people in this country that are supporting the Ukraine flag-waving Democrat psychopaths...
That would be me. I feel seen. Yes?
And neocons...
Not quite the same people, but...
...are going to destroy this planet, they're going to destroy this country, and they are going to wipe out large portions of humanity.
Well, that sounds pretty Nixonian, actually. I think it wasn't Kissinger who said it. His complaint was the worthless eaters. isn't it Russia that's threatening to wipe out large sections of humanity? So wait, sorry. Russia attacks Ukraine because they think there's an existential secondary threat, and we help Ukraine because if you can't help in a conflict and you don't, you're on the side of the aggressor. And then Ukraine, while still being attacked, while Russia's still making gains on their sovereign territory, enters Russian sovereign territory. And if Russia responds by nuking people, that's on us for helping the person fight back. So let me get this right. So clearly Tim Pool is in the lay back and take it or the rapist is going to kill us all camp. That's the moral logic of Timcast IRL. Cool.
They need to stop.
What again? Lie back and take it.
I don't know that Donald Trump averts the crisis.
I'm guessing no. First of all, he's not going to win, but also I don't know why you think it would avert that. Why the Ukrainians would stop fighting or the Europeans would stop backing them just because we did, and we've already set up a long-term support plan for them, anyways. In because of like tankies and Ruskies in our own government that have been trying to, hamstring the entire situation.
I can certainly tell you that it's the better option, and heaven help us. Russia at any moment could begin using nuclear artillery.
Yep. Any second. Don't make any plans tomorrow. I'm just telling you. I know you're like, yeah, I'm free Sunday. I could go see Alien Romulus. Don't bother. Any second. You know why? Because in 1997, Russia signed the NATO-Russian founding agreement that agreed that any country can decide its own sovereignty. And if somebody wants to join NATO, including Ukraine, they can, and they have every right to, and it's no big deal. They don't have to. Nobody has to join CSTO, and nobody has to join NATO, but if they want to, it's up to them because they agree on the sovereign lines of the separation of countries in 1997. But is that big? Oh, that's not why. I'm sorry.
Or tactical nuclear weapons in Ukraine to stop the incursion into Kursk.
And then what do the Ukrainians do? Just retreat, or do they go, "Oh my God, these assholes are nuking everyone. We need to spread out and sabotage every aspect of Russia because they are monsters"? How's that work? What would you do? What would you do if the United States bordered on Russia and Russia invades our country, we push into some of their land, and their response is to nuke Chicago or something like that, and you're inside Russia when it happens? Where do you go, "Oh, fuck," drop everything and run back? What do you think happens? I mean, he would drop everything and run back. He wouldn't be there in the first place. But anybody with a soul would fight twice as hard. You'd hook up with, with locals that agree with you. You'd set up a network and you'd start chewing them from the inside. You'd spend the rest of your life bringing these murderers to justice, wouldn't you?
I'm hoping they don't.
Yeah. And if they probably won't. So like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show.
I got a few hopes. One,
that Nutrafol works.
Is that Russia is just pathetic and cowardly and just gives up. It's all over. They get invaded and they just cry and whine about it. Not that I like what's happening with the war and the conflict on either side.
I don't like it. I hate Ukraine, but I don't like it.
Point is, whatever ends the war, maybe Donald Trump gets elected, tells Ukraine it's over, and Russia and Ukraine stop.
Stop what? What do you mean stop? Russia started it. Why would they stop? Why would Russia stop if Donald Trump tells you it doesn't help Ukraine anymore? You know what would stop? The existence of Ukraine.
But so long as Democrats are in power, they are going to exacerbate this problem. Russia will eventually retaliate. There's no reality where Russia sits back and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, we've lost."
Why not? So in your mind, Russia is on it as a country, and its leadership and its people are on a track that no matter what, they will end up nuking someone at some point. unless they get what they want. So if anybody doesn't give them what they want, whether it's if Georgia fights back or Chechnya or Azerbaijan or fucking, or Armenia rather, any of these areas they control, shit, if they get too much hell from parts of the DPRK or whatever, that anybody who pushes back on China, eventually it's just a matter of time before Russia nukes somebody as a country. That means the existence of Russia itself is an existential threat to the security of every human on Earth, and that every country in the world, whether they are partners or not, has a stake in its destruction. What are we all supposed to do? At some point, if anybody pushes back on what they want, which is apparently world domination, right? The Ruski Mir, the Russian world. If anybody pushes back, we're all fucking dead. I mean, I don't see another option other than everybody pushes back. The other thing, too, is that you think the Russians are so awful that if they're getting their ass handed to them, they're just going to nuke people. This is it. There's not a point where the people of Russia break before nukes are fired, especially in a ground war where they're getting their ass kicked.
Pack it in, boys. We're fleeing. Heading east. No way. There's no reality in which Ukraine continues the incursion and Russia just says, guess we lose an oblast. Basically like a state. No, if it comes down to the point of true desperation.
You think they're going to bomb their own area?
Putin says, low-yield nuclear artillery, flatten them.
Flatten Kursk?
Send a message.
Send a message, yeah. You get the feeling this asshole plays too many video games? You get that feeling? I get that feeling.
Low-yield nuclear artillery.
Uh-huh.
This means they're launching them from ground-based artillery.
Uh-huh. Right.
Firing weapons with a large blast radius, but not quite near what we're going to see with ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles.
Uh-huh.
And that begins, my friends, the nuclear escalation.
So the next step is obviously ICBMs. How long does that take? 8 seconds? 25 seconds? 3 minutes? How long after they launch those things do we wait until the payload goes off when we know they're nuclear? Because we can tell from satellite imagery. They launch a nuclear weapon and we go, it's probably low yield. We'll wait till it lands and then we'll respond.
Heaven help us if Russia actually feels like Moscow would fall if we ever get to that point. Because then it's ICBMs. Europe will be a pancake.
Europe will be a pancake. With or without butter and syrup. I just want to know whether it's just got kind of that warm, fluffy kind of joy to it, or a true breakfast treat.
I hope it doesn't go there.
I hope so. Yeah, maybe it will. Maybe it won't. We don't know.
A lot of people have optimism bias and normalcy bias. They don't believe it's possible.
No, I don't. I know almost everything is possible. I think you're painting a picture of it being probable because you actually do have an attitude towards one of the players in this, specifically Ukraine, as you've said before. And you, for some reason, it's personal to you that these fuckers should die. And it seems monetary.
They think that it'll never happen. Putin will never use these weapons. You do not get to go on the media every day and say Putin is a despot, psychopath, tyrant, and then try and tell me the man will not use nuclear weapons. Pick one.
Well, also, I don't think they use them all together. He's a killer and that kind of stuff, but he also wants to live. He's not a jihadist, for example. There is no afterlife for him. He's a hedonist at his root, and he's not going to die for Mother Russia. He's not. He's a self-involved psychopath. It's very different. He's not going to commit, suicide by Interpol. He has no interest in that. And the people around him are the same way. If we were talking about Iran or even Saudi Arabia or something like that, you might have a case, right? But they worry that Mecca and Medina would be destroyed in this exchange, so that's what keeps them at bay. The same thing with Temple in the Mountain in Israel and the exchange between Iran. That's why the bombs themselves are not in the nuclear range of things. But the people around Putin and himself, they want to live. They want to be on yachts with hookers smoking cigars. They They don't have 72 virgins in the afterlife they're looking forward to.
Because it can't be both.
Well, yeah, it can, because he's a managed psychopath. More of a sociopath, really. He's not a psychopath. He's a sociopath. He doesn't care, but he cares about himself. He's got a survival instinct, and his survival instinct alone is enough that's why we haven't had an escalation so far.
Either he is a psychopathic tyrant who will do anything to stay in power.
Right, dude. If being on the receiving end of a nuclear exchange also takes you out of power.
Or he's a pathetic, spineless coward. Which one?
Or he's a manipulative, materialistic asshole who thinks he can claim this ground, and he's working on the give and take of it and is categorically trying to decide, well, I can give up this and keep Crimea, and nobody cares about the Kursk area, and maybe I can manage this until somebody slits his throat and tries to take over and make nice with Europe because they don't want to live like this.
If he is the despot you claim him to be, he will absolutely say, I will not give up power, and you will not pry it unless you do for my cold, dead hands.
Well, then he has to die. Like, I don't know what you're arguing. He's got to die then. Because that's never going to go away, right? No one is safe as long as this guy is alive. So by hook or by crook, whether you Ukrainians do it or we send in fucking James Bond, the world is on the precipice of death until Vladimir Putin is dead. Right? Where's the solution in giving this asshole whatever he wants for being a murderous dickhead? Why is this guy like the only solution is a cookie?
Vladimir Putin, to me, comes off as a person who would absolutely use nuclear weapons. We may get there by other means. 126 nations meet with alliance, the Brics nations. That's Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa.
Right. So he's got another option in his mind that doesn't involve that's financial annihilation, which is that he'll just live off like a tick off the blood of a secondary economic system of drugs, guns, and human beings. Slavery and arms. And drugs. That's his three big industries. And they'll use Brics to control that because they'll take it off the U.S. grid because it's hard to get $100 U.S. bills because we track them better now.
Around 126 nations will attend a Brics municipal conference, all showing interest in joining the bloc and ditching the U.S. dollar. The queue to join Brics is getting longer. The developing countries are expressing their interest in joining the alliance.
Yeah, it's going to be fabulous. The Brics crypto is going to go through the fucking roof. Here's what I suggest, Tim. Invest all your money in it the minute it comes out. Don't hesitate. The U.S. dollar is going to completely crater, bro. So take all your U.S. dollar, anything you have in U.S. holdings, or even the pound or the euro. I mean, because God knows. Take all your money and put it in the Brics crypto. It's the only way you're going to be safe. Also move to Brazil, I guess.
The Brics countries, Sixth International Municipal Forum, IMF. That's funny how they're calling it IMF. Will take place in Moscow.
They don't. That's what it would be in English. And going forward in the conversation, they'll call it IMF in the printout, but these other countries don't speak English. And a lot of times the words are in different orders.
Between August 27th and 28th, which was already long past.
Not long past. I mean, it's like 3 days ago.
Mostly developing countries hailing from Asia, Africa, South America, and Eastern Europe shared initial interest in joining the bloc.
They shared, wow. They shared initial interest. Sounds like a done deal to me. Pack your shit, folks. Everybody, meet you in the bunker.
The new
I'm going to have to build a new background for myself for the show that's just completely in a bunker for times like this. You know what I mean? So I can retreat into it when these videos happen. Like when I'm covering him or Glenn Beck or Alex Jones or something, I just go straight into a bunker full of fucking cans of beans.
ambition is to strengthen their local currencies and not be dependent on the U.S. dollar for trade, as they have been for some time.
Yes. And the way you strengthen your local currency is to peg it to an unknown crypto run by Russia or China. Genius. Why didn't I think of that?
The event will include more than 70 business events and a large-scale exhibition showcasing the annual international exhibitions, Digitech.
Also, a lot of hookers and vodka. I got to be completely honest. It's really just a fucking orgy for fat guys that come from all over the world. They run things, and then you hope you get sent to Russia for the big fat guy oiling and slip and slide thing that we do with the vodka and the hookers and the death thing. You know, it works. You draw a crowd every time.
And mechanical engineering strategies and technologies. Almost half of the world shows interest in joining the BRICS and dethroning the U.S. dollar.
Almost half. Let me guess. Half by number of countries, and the half of the half they're talking about is 126 countries that all combined, including Russia and China and Brazil, equal the other half of the world economy. So Europe and Central and North America are half the world's economy, and all these other countries, even including China and Russia, is less than half of the world's economy. Cool story, bro.
That's the end, man.
Yeah, it's over. More than 40 countries have expressed interest in joining BRICS. Only 26 nations have formally sent their applications to join the alliance. Around 21 countries have informally expressed their interest in being part of the grouping. Yeah, sure, pass the potatoes. With others just showing general interest in what the BRICS bloc has to offer, which would be what? Basically, hookers and fat guy orgies. I like coming here once a year, but I'm not coming more than twice unless you can promise hooker and fat guy orgies. That's what Russia does. You know, in America, they think of Russia as like a gas station with nukes. And the rest of the world, we think of it as a gas station with fat guy orgies. So, and blow. And vodka, yeah.
Let me break it down for you.
Break it down. Oh. All right.
What is the U.S. economy based on?
Jeez. Real estate. No. Invention industry. What's the U.S. economy based on? It's a lot of different stuff. I mean, we have the world's largest petrochemical, real estate, biggest real estate holdings, satellite companies, space travel. The FAA in the United States is the standard for all airline flight in the country, so we set the standards for that. So therefore, we have the most, the biggest airplane industry in the world. A lot of fast food, a lot of not so fast food, a lot of sit-down eating places. Let's see. What's it based on? Let me guess. He's going to say dollars.
It's called the petrodollar.
No, it's not. The United States is not based on the petrodollar. We're not. We're not relying on oil as our primary source of the economy. That's not at all. And there is no petrodollar. There's an exchange point with Saudi Arabia that people call the petrodollar, but if that exists, then so does the fucking Chinese crap dollar and the TV dollar, the Samsung dollar, and the whatever else we trade in.
If you want to buy oil, you use U.S. dollars. We had an alliance, an agreement with Saudi Arabia. I should say we had an agreement with them.
That's over.
On the petrodollar deal where they would only accept dollars for oil for 50 years. That deal ended.
Yeah, and so did oil's dominance as a function of our economy. That's why we're getting to the point where we supply more oil to the world than we use. We're about to crest past that point. That's what Trump was talking about with oil dominance.
They're now trading in other currencies. We forced other countries, literally forced, to use the U.S. dollar to buy oil.
No, we didn't literally force. We had a security agreement with them in some cases that we would protect their waterways in their exchange for this. If we stop protecting their waterways, what do you think? Where do you think the Houthis aim their shit if around Saudi Arabia if the U.S. Navy stops stopping them? What do you think happens?
So if you are, let's call it oil land.
Brilliant.
Small Middle Eastern nation, and you produce oil. If you want to sell it first it has to go on the international market, available to all, and you can only trade in dollars. That means because of what the U.S. demands, you're accepting U.S. dollars for this, or else. Oh, we know what happens to countries that try to get off the dollar. When Gaddafi or Saddam Hussein said we want to trade elsewhere, euros or dinars, we saw what happened. Let's say.
By the way, the rise of the Iraqi dinar as an actual currency is a QAnon myth that has existed for a very long time. If you want to use another currency, like euros, for example, one of the reasons why they didn't do the euros because it's relatively new and it was viewed as unstable for a long time. Increasingly, there's a euro market. There's a petro euro, I guess, but the U.S. dollar is the most stable currency in the world. That's why they use it. Good Lord.
You're a small nation called
oil land.
Silver land. You don't make a lot of oil, but you got a lot of silver. So you need that oil to get the silver. What do? Well, your country first must buy U.S. dollars. You need to trade your currency for U.S. dollars so that you can buy oil. So you go to the U.S. and you...
Because nobody trusts the currency of Silverland and nobody wants Iraqi dinars on that scale. What the fuck am I going to do with this many Iraqi dinars? Who's going to take them off my hands? Right?
Okay. We're going to do 100 silver coins in exchange for, well, $2,000. That way we could buy oil. Random number, right?
Very random.
Then with the dollars, they buy oil. The U.S. then has Silverland currency that they can spend in Silverland and buy whatever they want.
Or trade back for dollar. I think. I don't. No. Foreign reserves don't work that way.
What did the U.S. do to get access to this currency? Nothing. They printed the money. There's inflation, interest rates. They just make it and say, okay, give us your currency and we'll let you have the oil. For Silverland to have money to actually get the oil, they must export something of value so that their economy is strong and you have something that is worth buying. Other people have that's worth buying. If your country produces nothing, the U.S. is going to say your currency is worth nothing. Why would we give you any dollars?
Also, what if we have too much silver? The United States has silver. Fuck do we need silver for? What happens when we produce more oil than we need? What if we shift all our cars to electric and we have thorium nuclear reactors or micronuclear reactors in the United States and we don't need oil anymore? Then what happens to all the oil land? Why do we give them dollars for that? Because resource capitalism is a increasingly shrinking part of the world economy? Nah.
You're going to have to give us everything you got. The United States has no such limitations. When the U.S. wants to buy oil, it just makes the money and buys the oil. Just because we can.
I see. So this is we should be on the gold standard argument, I suppose. What happens if the United States just creates the money out of so much money that it's not worth anything anymore? Why would anybody trade with it? Why would we even, if that's the case, why do we even manage its worth? Ever. Why does the Fed try to manage a 2% inflation point? Why don't we just let it run wild like the fucking, Turkish lira or whatever? If we just print it and take shit, if there's no standard, if it's just we run up debt, if our debt isn't worth shit, never mind the fact that we got a, the like $26 trillion yearly GDP, but whatever.
We produce a lot of oil too, don't get me wrong.
I probably get you wrong. No, I don't. No.
When the petrodollar ends, what happens now is
we shift to renewables and oil is in the rearview mirror and we don't need it as a driver for our economy and everybody else does, so they can fight over it. And while they're spending their resources on a limited fuel that's created only by adversarial countries, our economy accelerates technologically exponentially. Something like that.
Silverland trades in whatever they want.
Yeah. As long as it's silver, I guess.
Probably Chinese yuan or...
Really? Yeah? What? How's the worth of Chinese yuan determined, Tim? How do they decide what the yuan is worth in any given day? Who does that? Is it because of the amount of it in circulation? Is it because of the amount of gold they have in
Brics
reserve?
currency. The U.S. then says, hey, we need oil too. And the rest of the world says, what are you going to give us for it? And they're going to.
And then we go, oh, wait, no, we don't. We'll just use what we got. And we'll buy some from Canada, and then we'll focus on renewables, and then you guys can fight over oil.
Say U.S. dollars, and they're going to say, what does that get us? You don't export anything, and no one needs your dollars to buy anything.
Okay, so Tim thinks that, he believes in singular resource capitalism. That he's one of these people that believes the Trump drill baby drill thing. Yeah. Because if we produce more oil than anybody, if oil's just, if oil's what everybody's trading for the dollar for, and we produce more oil, we could sell our own oil in dollars. If you want to buy our oil, let's say, and we have the most in the world, and we can turn down the spigot and raise the cost of it, we could manipulate the world through our own enforcement of the petrodollar the way Russia and Saudi Arabia tried to when Trump was in office.
That means the U.S. economy will start to crumble.
Why? Why? Why will it crumble? Why would a country of 340 million people with the resources that we have, we can grow our own food? China imports 80 to 85% of their fuel and food. Russia doesn't produce enough of anything to survive. Why would we crumble? We would just become a walled-off country, sort of, along with, in partnership with Canada and Mexico. Everybody in this country will be relatively comfortable if the rest of the world starts to crater. That's the problem they have. That's why the dollar is so stable.
Mostly imports. Goods that are produced here will remain stable based on the local economies and how much people expect to get paid. The problem is, of the goods that we import, which is basically everything now, are vegetables.
We do not import our vegetables?
Why are we importing food from China?
We're not importing food from China. What? I don't even know where this is coming from. Most of our food needs are between necessity foods like avocados and fucking corn, shit like that, staples. Either are grown here or come from Mexico or Canada. China buys enormous amounts of food from us.
What's going to happen then is China's not.
Hold on. What? No. You don't get to jump past this. I don't know. I know why I'm sticking to more of this than I deserve. I should have ended 20 minutes ago, but Jesus Christ.
Not going to need any of our dollars to buy oil, and they've been dumping dollars. So that laptop you bought for $1,000, $10,000 easy. Imagine if right now you wanted a laptop.
Unless they start making them in Taiwan again, or Japan, or Mexico, which is where a lot of the factories are.
But they all were lowest price, $6,000, $7,000, because they're all imported, and you've got to pay for the actual cost of that labor.
I see. So he's so close to it, ladies and gentlemen. Tim is so close to it that, and it won't matter because we're all going to get nuked anyways, but apparently things are going to become more expensive because it'll be basically an anti-slavery tax, which is a good reason why things are slightly more expensive in the United States right now. That's why across a bunch of different areas, never mind the fact that China bought a lot of real estate in the United States under LLCs and leaves it vacant to drive up the value of their other properties and stuff. But a lot of foreign investors do that.
You wouldn't be able to. Now, don't get me wrong, your cheeseburger is only going to be $30, but that laptop's going to be way more.
Why would a cheeseburger be $30? What, I mean, we have cattle ranches here, and again, this is South America largely that you're talking about, or Central America. We have direct linkage with them. We're not getting fucking. Does he think we get beef from China?
When you're talking about what really gets impacted by this, it's imported goods.
Assembled goods, I think.
We can trade amongst ourselves however we want. We have a labor standard between each other. But the resulting impact at the end of the petrodollar means labor won't be cheaper overseas. We'll be forced to return to local labor.
And we'll largely automate it because of the advances in robotics that one of our biggest concerns is how many people in this country are going to be put out of work by robots. What do you think that's going to do to the Chinese labor market? What does this asshole think is happening in China right now?
I believe Donald Trump's view is strengthen the U.S. economy.
How?
So we have strong imports.
So Strengthen the U.S. economy so we have strong imports. Strong imports from weak countries is the idea?
Strong standard economics in terms of like unemployment rates are low and
like they are now.
And
yeah, I think all right. I think we're hitting bedrock. I think he's run out of phrases and now he's actually trying to back up what he's saying.
Wage growth is high, inflation is low, things like that.
And how does that happen? What causes that? Imports? What, beef from China? What the fuck are you talking about?
That way, when the petrodollar falls, and it will,
we won't care because we don't need oil anymore. We don't rely on oil, and we've moved to renewables because Donald Trump is the fucking green president.
America will still have a footing for trade. Kamala Harris, Biden, the others, their view is no. Keep the guns pointed on them and threaten to annihilate the world unless they give us the oil.
What? Look, I read the Green New Deal, and I recognize it's more of a PR document than anything that's been filed, but or that's legally binding. But, huh? By the way, you do realize this is the Chinese and the Russian business model exactly. Don't believe me? Ask any other country in the South China Seas. What the fuck do you think the TPP was about?
It will not end well for us.
Good Lord. I wish that I could invest in the fear this guy is trying to sell. Like, I wish I could at least understand it enough to try and, like, process it. Because then it would be kind of funnier because there'd be a little bit of lift and shock and adrenaline to it. But there's not even that. Like, honest to fucking God, I am stunned that there is someone dumber about these issues than Glenn Beck and Bongholio. And by the way, is this ubiquitous across all right-wing media? I haven't seen fucking Ben Shapiro take on the petrodollar or any of that shit. We know Jimmy's a fucking moron on it, but do they all think this? Do they all read this shit the same way? Do they all have the same fucking Russian whisperer trying to scare them and they're easy targets?
I'm going to wrap it up there. Next segment's coming up at 6 p.m. on this channel. We'll be talking culture and women quitting their jobs to do OnlyFans. Smash.
Wow. We're going to be talking culture and women quitting their jobs to do OnlyFans. Because OnlyFans, even though it pays and you have to do stuff, isn't a job. I guess. Shit. All right. Well, all right, we're done. I gotta, at some point, I have to actually get ready clean myself up and do a show, chat room. That's the second full Tim Pool clip we've done on the show. And I feel like we've been missing out. And I don't know enough from, his early stuff, if he started dumb and has gotten dumber, or this is just, it's always been this way. Like, this idiotic, angry, dopey thread that runs through his show is permanent. Because I gotta say, comedically speaking, it's wonderful. It's got a woody hint of paranoia mixed with the sort of a fruity aftertaste of ignorant bullshit. It's just a fine aperitif sometimes to end a show. But it also, the reason I bring it up is because it seems to be, this dude has a giant audience, and he everything he said is shit we heard like Jimmy Dore saying 2 years ago that Scott Ritter was pouring down his fucking gullet. And that video I just showed you is from yesterday. Also, Ukraine has been inside Russia for almost 2.5 weeks now. And he's acting like it happened last night and this is the trigger point. Like, at any moment, I expect him to go, oh my God, the Nord Stream 2 has been blown up. We're all going to die. shit. That was one of his smarter clips, really? Oh my God. If that's the case, Jesus. Hold on. Whoops. Let me get up here. There you go. Saha says how that was sparked. That was one of his smarter clips. Jesus. I mean, like, yeah, obviously, I'm punching up. He's got a huge channel, a lot of followers and all this stuff, or a lot of bots, anyways. But like and subscribe. I think I have to hit like 250,000 subscribers, or I'm never going to be invited on any of these shows, even for them to, when they're mad at me, to say anything. I think as long as my audience size is this size in their estimation, that it gives them an excuse not to have to deal with me. So subscribe to the channel, if only so that shows start to have to deal with me. That in and of itself, it should be the best reason to subscribe to the channel, I think. Just like drive my numbers up so that these assholes have to sit across a table from me at some point, because I'm as big or bigger than they are as far as subscribers. Because that's the only thing that's going to do it. Because it's too fucking easy for these morons to hide from me. Bongholio and Glenn Beck and this dickhead. Fucking Rusty Trombone. They can all pretend my channel doesn't have an impact, which it absolutely does. But they can pretend it doesn't because of the subscription numbers at, where they are currently. So please subscribe, give it a thumbs up, share the show, all that kind of stuff. If only just to make these assholes upset when I surpass them in viewership. I think that's worth it in and of itself. Okay, I gotta go. It's so fucking hot back here in the garage. Remind me to turn on the air conditioner tomorrow when I do the radio show, although it'll be cooler in the morning. Fuck. All right, love you guys. And for those of you that are Patreon subscribers, I will see you guys sort of tonight as I do the show at Flappers. Okay. Also, next week, the Seattle show location has changed, I think, to the Yacht Club. It's owned by the Crocodile where we were, but it's another club. It's like a block away. And I think that's what happened. Because a double booking or something like that. Anyway, so they bumped us over. It's basically the same size club, I think, but we're over there. We're at the, and I'll post graphics on it in the next couple days so that everybody knows where they are. And then Friday, of course, we're still at Dante's in Portland. And then the night after that is Sexy Liberal Portland. If you're in the area and you're not busy in the crater, come see us. Yeah, we love you, and it'll be super fun. And anyways, I'll see you tomorrow for the radio show, and it should be great. And then one more thing.